I used to believe that perfect lives existed. Mine certainly looked that way from the outside, the kind people scroll past on Instagram with a mix of admiration and envy. That was 3 months ago, before the text message that shattered everything. "You really outdid yourself with dinner tonight," Tim said, kissing my cheek as I loaded the dishwasher. My husband of 8 years, still handsome in that clean-cut way that made heads turn at corporate events. Behind us, Claire's laughter echoed from the living room, where she'd been staying since her breakup with Marcus. "Thanks, but Claire helped with the sauce," I said, trying to ignore how her laughter seemed to get louder whenever Tim was around. "I'm Sloane, and I design beautiful spaces for a living." Ironic, considering how blind I was to the ugly truth hiding in my own home. But that night, everything still gleamed with the polish of careful maintenance. My marriage, my friendships, my family bonds, all of it pristine as the granite countertops I'd selected for our kitchen remodel last spring. "Sloane, honey," my mother called from the dining room. "Come, help me with these place settings for Sunday's brunch." I dried my hands and joined her. Jacqueline, Mom, was arranging flowers with military precision. "You know, dear, Claire mentioned she might bring her famous quiche." "Again?" I frowned. "She's made it 3 weeks in a row." "Don't be difficult," Mom sighed. "She's going through a rough time. We should be grateful she's making an effort." I bit my tongue. Claire had been going through a rough time for 2 months now, ever since she'd shown up at our door with mascara-stained cheeks and a sob story about Marcus's emotional unavailability. Tim had insisted she stay with us until she got back on her feet. My mother had praised his generosity. My sister Sage had called him a saint. Later that evening, I walked into the living room to find Tim and Claire on the sofa, heads bent close over his phone. They jumped apart when I entered, Claire's hand sliding off his arm. "Just showing Claire that funny video from work," Tim said smoothly. But something in his smile felt off. "The one about the marketing fail?" Claire added quickly. "Hilarious." I nodded, stomach churning. But before I could say anything, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Claire isn't your friend. Check his second phone." "Everything okay?" Tim asked, noticing my expression. I forced a smile. "Just work stuff." But my hands were shaking as I typed back, "Who is this?" The response came instantly. "Someone who knows the truth." Look in his desk drawer, the black iPhone he said he lost in February. "Sloane?" Claire's voice was honey-sweet. "We're thinking of watching a movie. Join us?" I looked at them both. My husband and my best friend since college, arranged carefully on opposite ends of the sofa now. Everything looked normal, perfect even. "Actually, I have some client sketches to finish," I said. "You two enjoy." "Don't work too hard," Tim called after me. I climbed the stairs to our home office, my heart pounding. The second drawer of Tim's desk was locked, had been for months, but I knew where he kept the key, taped under his desk blotter. My fingers trembled as I fitted it into the lock. The drawer slid open smoothly, revealing stacks of papers, old receipts, and there, nestled in the back corner, a black iPhone in a leather case. The phone Tim had sworn he'd lost during his business trip to Chicago. I heard Claire's laughter floating up from downstairs, followed by Tim's deeper chuckle. The sound twisted in my gut like a knife. "Don't worry, Sloane," Claire called up. "We'll save you some popcorn." I clutched the phone tighter, my wedding ring catching the light. "Thanks," I called back, my voice steady despite the roaring in my ears. "You're such a good friend." The phone felt heavy in my hands as I turned it over. All I needed was the passcode, and after 8 years of marriage, I knew every combination Tim had ever used. I took a deep breath and started typing numbers. 0831, our wedding date. The phone unlocked with a soft click that felt like a gunshot in the quiet room. My hands were ice cold as I opened the messaging app. There they were. Hundreds of messages between Tim and Claire, stretching back months. I started reading, each word burning into my brain like acid. Tim, miss you already? Can't wait for tomorrow's business lunch. Claire, still taste you on my lips. Your wife's cooking can't compare. I had to run to the bathroom to throw up. When I came back, I forced myself to keep reading. The messages got worse. Plans made while I slept beside him. Jokes about how trusting I was. Photos that made me sick to my stomach. But the real knife in my back came when I saw my sister's name in the chat logs. Tim. Say Jay knows. She caught us in the kitchen last week. Claire. Don't worry, she's cool. Says Sloane's always had it too easy anyway. My fingers were trembling so badly I almost dropped the phone. I heard footsteps on the stairs and quickly locked the device, shoving it into my pocket. Hey, you okay up here? Tim appeared in the doorway, concern perfectly painted on his face. You've been quiet. Just focused, I said, gesturing to my laptop. These client designs won't finish themselves. He came over and kissed the top of my head. The gesture that used to make me feel loved now made my skin crawl. Don't work too late, babe. After he left, I plugged the phone into my laptop and started downloading everything. Every message, every photo, every betrayal carefully documented and backed up to a flash drive. The next morning, I called in sick to work and waited until everyone had left the house. Then I drove to the copy shop across town where nobody knew me. I need 3 copies of everything, I told the clerk, handing over my flash drive. And then I need you to notarize the date on each set. While the papers printed, I texted Isaiah, my old friend from law school. Need to meet. Urgent. Somewhere private. His response came quickly. My office, 2 p.m, everything okay? I didn't reply. Nothing was okay, and nothing would ever be okay again. When I got home, Claire was in the kitchen making lunch. There you are! I was worried when you called in sick. She hugged me, and I forced myself not to flinch. I made your favourite sandwich. The same hands that had typed those messages were now slicing tomatoes in my kitchen. The same mouth that had kissed my husband was now smiling at me with practiced concern. Thanks, I said, taking the plate. You're always so thoughtful. That's what best friends are for. She beamed. Oh, by the way, your mum called. She wants us all over for dinner tonight. She's making that pasta you love. Of course she was. My mother, who probably knew everything too, who told me I was being paranoid when I'd mentioned Claire, and Tim seemed too close. Sounds perfect, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. I'll bring wine. That evening, I sat through dinner watching them all, my mother refilling Claire's wineglass with maternal affection. Sage laughing too loudly at Tim's jokes. Claire's hand brushing Tim's arm when she thought I wasn't looking. You're quiet tonight, sweetie, my mother said. Everything okay at work? I took a sip of wine. Just tired. But you know what helps? Good friends, loyal family. I raised my glass. To having people you can trust. Everyone clinked glasses. Claire caught my eye and smiled that sweet, poisonous smile. Don't worry, Sloane, she said, reaching across to squeeze my hand. You'll always have us. I squeezed back, feeling the flash drive in my pocket, like a burning coal. I know, I replied, smiling, and I'll never forget it. Later that night, I lay awake beside Tim, listening to his steady breathing. The second phone was still in my desk drawer, now wiped clean of fingerprints. The copies were safely stored in 3 different locations. Tomorrow, I would see Isaiah. Tomorrow, I would start planning. But tonight, I let myself feel everything. The pain, the rage, the heartbreak. Tomorrow, they would learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. So, let me get this straight, Isaiah said, leaning back in his office chair. Your husband, best friend, sister, and mother are all involved in this mess? I spread the printed messages across his desk. Look for yourself. He scanned the pages, his expression darkening. Jesus, Sloane, these messages between your sister and Tim. Keep reading, I said, pulling out more papers. There's a whole thread about Claire's job at the gallery. Apparently, she's been sleeping with clients too, against company policy. Isaiah whistled low. Kent would have a field day with this. He's built that gallery's reputation on discretion and class. I made a mental note of that detail. Kent, Claire's boss. Another piece on the board. What do you want to do? Isaiah asked, shuffling the papers back together. I want to destroy them, I said simply. Not with drama or screaming, with precision. He nodded slowly. We can work with this. But first, you need to document everything. Every interaction, every conversation. Build your case. That evening, I hosted our weekly family dinner. My mother arrived early, fussing over the table settings. Claire mentioned she's bringing her famous tiramisu, she said, adjusting a napkin. Speaking of Claire, I said casually, she's been getting a lot of late-night texts lately. Have you noticed? My mother's hand stilled for a fraction of a second. Don't start, Sloane. You've always been too possessive of Tim's attention. Just making conversation, Mum. I smiled, noting her reaction in my mental log. Claire arrived next, dessert in hand. Something smells amazing, she gushed, hugging me tight. Tim's favourite recipe, I said, watching her face. There it was, that tiny flinch. During dinner, I kept the conversation flowing, dropping subtle hints that made them squirm. When Tim mentioned an upcoming business trip, I asked, Is that the Chicago client? The one from when you lost your phone? Tim's fork clattered against his plate. Claire quickly jumped in with a story about work, but I'd seen the panic in his eyes. My phone buzzed, a text from Saj. Stop being weird. You're making everyone uncomfortable. I texted back. Just asking about my husband's work. That's normal, right? After dinner, I connected my phone to the car's Bluetooth to play music while cleaning up. A voicemail started playing instead, Sage's voice filling the kitchen. Tim and Claire deserve to be happy. Sloane's just greedy with happiness like always. She has everything, the perfect job, the perfect house. Maybe it's time she learned life isn't always perfect. The kitchen went silent. I turned slowly, catching Claire's pale face, Tim's rigid shoulders, my mother's closed eyes. That's an interesting perspective, Saj, I said calmly, stopping the playback. When was this from? I don't, Sage stammered. Must be an old message, my mother cut in smoothly. From before? Well, you know how phones mix up dates sometimes. I nodded, adding this moment to my growing collection. Of course. More coffee, anyone? Later that night, I met Isaiah at a quiet bar across town. They're getting sloppy, I told him, showing him my notes. Claire left her gallery login pulled up on my laptop. Apparently, she's been arranging private showings for Tim's clients, mixing business with pleasure, Isaiah mused. Kent's biggest pet peeve. And Tim's been using company resources to help her land sales. His firm has strict policies about external business dealings. Isaiah pulled out his phone. I know someone at the firm's HR department. Want me to make some inquiries? Not yet, I said, sipping my wine. First, I'm hosting a dinner party next week, a celebration of family and friendship. A trap, he corrected. I smiled. Let's call it a dress rehearsal. I want to see them all together, comfortable, thinking they've won. Then we'll start the real show. You're scary when you're strategic, Isaiah said, but he was grinning. I learned from the best, I replied, thinking of all their careful manipulations. They taught me how to smile while holding a knife. Now it's my turn to teach them something about consequences. That night, I sent out the dinner invitations. The responses came quickly. Everyone so eager to maintain our perfect facade. If only they knew what was coming. The week before the dinner party, I started laying my traps. First, an anonymous email to Kent at the gallery with carefully selected screenshots of Claire's private showings. "Just thought you should know how your gallery's reputation is being used," I wrote, adding links to Tim's company website, where he'd name-dropped the gallery to impress clients. Next, I called Tim's biggest investor, expressing concern about personal issues affecting business decisions. Just enough to plant a seed of doubt. "Everything ready for tomorrow?" Tim asked, finding me in the kitchen. "Claire offered to help cook." "That's so thoughtful of her," I said, chopping vegetables with precise strokes. "She's always been such a good friend." He kissed my cheek, and I let him. Every touch was now a performance, and I was becoming an excellent actress. "Need help with anything?" Claire bounced into the kitchen, all sunshine and smiles. "Actually, could you check my laptop? I have the seating arrangement there, but it's acting up." She sat down at my computer while I continued chopping. 3, 2, 1. "Oh my God," Claire gasped. I turned. "Everything okay?" She was staring at the screen, where I deliberately left open a wedding cake design website. In the browser history, second wedding planning, and how to tell your wife you're leaving. I was just, Claire stammered. "Found the seating chart?" I asked innocently. She quickly clicked away. "Yes, all good." That night, I met Isaiah at our usual bar. "Kent called Claire into his office today," he reported. "She came out looking shaken." "Perfect timing," I said. "And Tim's investor?" "Requested an urgent meeting for next week." I nodded, satisfaction warming my chest like good whiskey. "Everything's ready for tomorrow then. You'll be there." "Wouldn't miss it. You sure about this?" "They've had months to come clean, years of lying to my face. Tomorrow, we show them what real friendship looks like." The next day, I prepared everything with surgical precision, hidden cameras in the living room, recording apps on my phone, a PowerPoint presentation waiting on my laptop, disguised as vacation photos. My mother arrived first, bearing wine. "Darling, you look tired. Are you sleeping okay?" "Oh, I sleep just fine," I said, thinking of the sleeping pills I'd been pretending to take while actually documenting their late-night messages. Sage came next, wearing the dress she'd borrowed from me months ago, the same one she'd worn while comforting Tim about his work stress. Claire and Tim arrived together. Of course they did. "Something smells amazing," Claire hugged me. "You always throw the best dinner parties." We ate, we drank. They relaxed, thinking this was reconciliation, healing, moving forward. "A toast," my mother said, raising her glass. "To family and friendship." "Yes," I agreed, standing. "Let's look at some photos, shall we? I've prepared a little slideshow." Tim's face changed slightly. "Honey, maybe we should just enjoy dinner." "Oh, but I insist," I said, clicking the remote. "I've been collecting memories." The first slide appeared, screenshots of Tim and Claire's messages. Claire choked on her wine. Next slide, Sage's texts about their kitchen encounters. My mother set down her glass hard enough to crack the stem. More slides. Financial records showing Tim's company resources used for Claire's sales. Claire's private client meetings. Wedding cake designs. "Sloane," Tim started. "Don't," I cut him off. "I'm not finished." Final slide. An email confirmation from Kent about tomorrow's ethics review meeting and a calendar invite for Tim's investor meeting titled Conduct Assessment. Silence fell like a blade. "What did you do?" Claire whispered. "Me?" I smiled. "I just showed everyone the truth. You all did the rest." "You'll destroy everything," my mother hissed. "No, Mom. You all did that. I'm just making sure everyone sees the ruins." Tim stood up. "We need to talk about this." "We needed to talk months ago," I replied. Now we need to deal with consequences. I picked up my purse and headed for the door. Behind me, chaos erupted. Claire crying, Sage yelling, my mother demanding explanations. But I was already gone, driving to my new apartment, where Isaiah waited with a bottle of champagne. The real show was about to begin. The aftermath hit like a tsunami. By morning, my phone had 67 missed calls and over 100 messages. I read them while sipping coffee in my new apartment. Tim, please, come home. We can fix this. Claire, you've ruined everything. I thought you were my friend. Sage, how could you do this to our family? Mum, call me immediately. We need to contain this situation. I deleted them all and called Isaiah instead. It started, he said without preamble. Kent called an emergency board meeting at the gallery. Claire's been suspended pending investigation. My phone buzzed with another call. Tim's work number. I ignored it. Tim's investor meeting got moved up to this morning, Isaiah continued. Word is they're reviewing all his client relationships. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole I saw Claire, mascara streaked down her face. I know you're in there, she shouted. You have to let me explain. I opened the door. Explain what? The messages, the photos, or how about the wedding cakes you were browsing? She pushed past me into the apartment. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Tim and we have a connection. You have to understand. Like I had to understand when you moved into my house. When you slept with my husband under my roof. You had everything, she screamed. The perfect life, the perfect job, the perfect husband. Some of us had to fight for what we wanted. I laughed, the sound sharp as broken glass. Fight? Is that what you call sneaking around with my sister's help? Having my mother cover for you? Jacqueline understood, Claire said, wiping her eyes. She saw how happy Tim was with me. Get out. Sloane, please, get out. I grabbed her arm and pushed her toward the door. Go back to Tim. Go back to my mother. But remember this moment when you still thought you had the right to explain. After she left, my phone rang again. Tim. Kent fired her, he said when I answered. And my biggest client just pulled their account. Are you happy now? Happy? I kept my voice ice cold. Like you were happy fucking my best friend in our bed. It wasn't like that. No. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, Tim. Explain how you and Claire and my entire family conspired to humiliate me. Silence. That's what I thought, I said. How's the investor meeting going? He swore. You vindictive bitch. We could have handled this privately. Like you handled telling me about the affair? Or was that scheduled for after you picked out wedding cakes with Claire? I hung up as my mother's car pulled up outside. Here we go. She burst in without knocking. Do you have any idea what you've done? Claire's career is ruined. Tim's reputation. My marriage is ruined, I cut her off. My trust in my family is ruined. Or doesn't that matter? Of course it matters, but there are ways to handle these things quietly, with dignity. Like how you handled knowing about the affair? Was it dignified to watch me cook dinners for them? To help Claire pick out lingerie for my husband? She flinched. I was trying to protect you. No, you were protecting them. You always protected everyone but me. That's not fair. Fair? I pulled out my phone, played the recording of her telling Claire to be patient because Sloane will understand eventually. Was this fair, Mom? She sank onto my couch, suddenly looking old. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Too late. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Local art gallery faces scandal as employee affairs come to light. Then another. Marketing firm under investigation for resource misappropriation. Oh, God, my mother whispered, reading over my shoulder. You should go, I said. I'm sure Claire needs comforting. She's had such a rough day. After she left, I stood at my window, watching the city lights come on. My phone kept buzzing. Saji now, probably ready with her own excuses. But I was done listening to explanations. Done playing the understanding wife, the forgiving friend, the good daughter. They wanted to see me hurt. Fine. But they'd forgotten one crucial thing. I'd learned from the best how to smile while twisting the knife. The headlines kept coming over the next few days. Claire's dismissal from the gallery made local news, especially after Kent released a statement about maintaining professional integrity. Tim's firm launched an internal investigation into his client relationships. I was having coffee with Isaiah when Francesca walked into the cafe. I hadn't seen her since high school, where Claire had stolen her boyfriend and spread vicious rumours about her. Sloane, she approached our table. I saw the news about Claire. I had to find you. Here to gloat? I asked, but she shook her head. Here to say you're not alone. Claire destroyed my life once too, but you... She smiled. You destroyed her right back. I gestured to an empty chair. Join us? As Francesca sat down, my phone lit up with Saiga's face. Should I asked Isaiah. He shrugged. Might as well hear what she has to say. How could you? Saiga spat when I answered. Do you know what you've done to this family? Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing. Mom's a wreck. Claire's life is ruined. Tim's facing an ethics investigation, I finished. And you? How's Derek taking the news about you comforting my husband? Silence. That's right, I continued. I sent him the screenshots too. All those late-night messages, all those innocent meetings. You're evil, she whispered. No, I'm awake. There's a difference. After hanging up, Francesca touched my arm. Claire tried this with my fiancé 2 years ago. When I confronted her, she played victim. Your mother defended her then too. Of course she did, I said bitterly. Claire was always the daughter she wanted. My phone buzzed again. Tim's law firm requesting a meeting. They'll try to silence you, Isaiah warned. Let them try. I forwarded the email to him. That's why I have a lawyer. We were finishing our coffee when Claire appeared outside the cafe window, mascara streaked, holding a box of what looked like my things from the house. Don't, Isaiah said, but I was already walking outside. Here, Claire thrust the box at me. Tim wanted you to have these back. I looked inside. Photo albums, jewellery, memories. How generous of him to return my possessions. You ruined everything, she sobbed. Are you happy now? Happy? I pulled out our wedding album. Like you were happy planning your wedding while living in my house? It wasn't like that. We were going to tell you. When? After the honeymoon? After you moved into my bedroom? People were starting to stare. Claire lowered her voice. I loved him. I still love him. And I loved you both. Funny how that worked out. Back inside, Francesca was showing Isaiah screenshots of Claire's old messages with her ex-fiancé. Same pattern, she said. The sweet friend act, the late-night conversations, the sudden emotional crisis that needs constant support. My phone lit up with a text from my mother. Family dinner tonight. We need to talk about damage control. I showed it to Isaiah. Should I go? Do you want to? No, I realised. I don't want to control their damage anymore. I texted back, no thanks, I'm having dinner with real friends. Francesca smiled. Want to get out of here? I know a great wine bar. As we left, we passed Tim waiting by my car. Sloane, please, he started. Save it for the ethics board, I said, walking past him. You can't just throw away 8 years. I turned. You threw them away. I just made sure everyone knew where to find the pieces. That night, over wine with Francesca and Isaiah, I felt something shift inside me. Not healing, not yet, but something like strength. To karma, Francesca raised her glass, and to women who refuse to be victims. My phone buzzed one last time. Seiji again. Derek called off the engagement. I hope you're satisfied. I turned off my phone and raised my glass. To consequences, I said, and to finding out who your real friends are. Outside, the city lights glowed like stars, and for the first time since this all began, I didn't feel alone. Sometimes losing everything means finding yourself. And sometimes revenge tastes better than wedding cake ever could. 3 months passed. I threw myself into work, transforming other people's spaces while rebuilding my own life. The divorce papers sat unsigned on Tim's lawyer's desk. He was still trying to negotiate terms, still thinking he had leverage. Look at this, Francesca said, showing me her phone over lunch. Claire's Instagram had transformed into a wasteland of vague quotes about betrayal and forgiveness. Her latest post. Sometimes those who hurt us the most are the ones we trusted to protect us. I almost laughed. The irony. Oh, but wait until you see this. Francesca swiped to another post. Tim, clearly drunk at a bar, arm around a blonde. The caption from the local gossip page. Marketing exec drowns sorrows after firm's ethics investigation. My phone buzzed. My mother's weekly attempt at contact. This time, a letter in my email. Dearest Sloane, your silence is breaking my heart. I know I made mistakes, but I'm still your mother. Claire asks about you. She's really struggling. Delete. Your mum still trying? Francesca asked. Every week. She sent Claire's wedding photos to my office yesterday, from her first marriage. Subtle. About as subtle as Seiji dating Tim now. Francesca choked on her wine. What? I pulled up the photo a mutual friend had sent me, Tim and Saj at a restaurant, his hand on her thigh. Apparently, they're healing together. That's sick. That's karma. I picked up my phone, finger hovering over the evidence I'd been saving. Photos, texts, timestamps, enough to destroy what was left of their reputations. But something stopped me. You're not going to expose them? Francesca asked. No, I said, deleting the folder. I'm done playing their game. Later that day, I met with Isaiah to sign the final divorce papers. Tim had finally caved on the settlement after his firm's investigation concluded. He's leaving the company, Isaiah reported, moving to Chicago with Sage, apparently. Good, I said, signing my name with steady hands. Let them have each other. And Claire? Working at a small gallery in the suburbs. Kent made sure she'll never work at a major venue again. My phone lit up with a text from my mother. Book club misses you. Everyone asks what happened to our perfect family. I showed Isaiah. She still doesn't get it. Some people never do, he said, sliding the signed papers into his briefcase. But you're free now. That evening, I walked through my new apartment, my first solo design project since everything happened. Every choice was mine alone. Bold colours, clean lines, no compromise. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I miss you, Claire's voice cracked when I answered. Everything's fallen apart. I lost my job, my friends, my reputation. You lost those things when you chose to betray me, I said calmly. I just made sure everyone knew why. Can't we try to fix this? We were best friends for 15 years. And you threw that away for what? Tim? Ask Saj how that's working out for her. Silence. Goodbye, Claire. I poured a glass of wine and opened my laptop to find an email from a women's support group. They wanted me to speak at their next meeting about rebuilding after betrayal. As I started typing my response, another email popped up from Kent's Gallery. They were looking for an interior designer for their new location. Life has a funny way of working out, Francesca said when I called to tell her. You lost the people who were supposed to love you and found the ones who actually do, I finished. That night, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset. My phone was quiet. I'd blocked them all finally. No more manipulative texts, no more guilt trip emails, no more fake apologies. Tomorrow, I would start designing the gallery's new space. Tomorrow, I would write my speech about survival and strength. Tomorrow, I would continue building my new life. But tonight, I raised my glass to the setting sun and made a toast to myself. To the woman they tried to break and the one who emerged stronger. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in destroying others, it's in refusing to let them destroy you. And that's how I learned that sometimes losing everything means finding yourself, I concluded, looking out at the packed auditorium. The women's support group had grown into something bigger, my story resonating with others who'd faced similar betrayals. A hand raised in the audience. Did you ever regret exposing them? No, I said firmly. I regret believing their lies for so long. After the speech, Francesca met me backstage. Kent called. The gallery opening is trending on social media. I smiled. The redesign had been my best work yet, transforming the space where Claire once worked into something entirely new. Kent had even commissioned me for 2 more locations. Speaking of social media, Francesca showed me her phone. Saige posted about her fresh start in Chicago. How's that working out for her? Tim's already been seen with another woman. Karma is not done with them yet. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Saw your speech online. You've changed. I typed back. Yes, that's what growth looks like. Walking through the gallery later that evening, I paused at the wall where I'd insisted on hanging local artists' work. Among them was a piece titled Phoenix Rising, a woman emerging from ashes, wings spread wide. It's the centerpiece of the collection, Kent said, appearing beside me. Just like your design is the heart of this space. Thank you for trusting me with it. Thank you for showing Claire what real integrity looks like. My phone lit up again. Isaiah. Turn on the news. I pulled up the local station on my phone. There was Tim being led out of his new Chicago office in handcuffs. The headline scrolled, Executive arrested for financial misconduct. Guess those ethics investigations weren't finished after all, Francesca mused. I put my phone away. Their drama wasn't my story anymore. A young woman approached me clutching a notebook. Your speech today. My sister's going through something similar. Could you sign this for her? I took the notebook, writing, Your worth isn't measured by those who betrayed you, but by how you rise above their betrayal. That night, I hosted dinner at my apartment. Francesca, Isaiah, and some new friends from my support group. The conversation flowed, genuine laughter filling the space where fake smiles once lived. My phone buzzed one last time. Claire. I heard about Tim. I should have listened to you years ago. I'm sorry. I showed Francesca the text. Should I respond? Do you want to? I thought about it, then deleted the message. Some chapters need to stay closed. Remember when you first came to my office? Isaiah asked, refilling wine glasses. You wanted revenge. I got something better, I said. I got free. Later, after everyone left, I stood in my living room looking at the city lights. On my desk lay contracts for 3 new design projects, speaking engagement invitations, and a publisher's query about turning my story into a book. My mother's latest letter sat unopened beside them. Family is forever. I picked it up, then dropped it in the shredder. Some forever things need to end. My phone rang. A new client calling about redesigning her life after her own betrayal. I heard your speech, she said. I need to find my strength too. The first step, I told her, it was is realizing you had it all along. I opened my laptop to start sketching designs for her space. But first, I typed out a message to post on my professional page. To everyone who's been betrayed by those they trusted most, your story isn't over, it's just beginning. And this time, you're the one writing it. The city hummed below, full of possibilities. Somewhere out there, Tim and Sage were facing their consequences. Claire was living with her choices. My mother was learning that family isn't about blood, it's about truth. But here, in this space I'd created, surrounded by the life I'd built from their ashes, I was exactly where I needed to be. Not their victim, not their villain, just myself. Stronger, wiser, free. And that was the best revenge of all.